Oh, hello. Today we are going to talk about my favorite reads from Q3, which was what are they? It's July, August, and September. There you go. I like to check in once a quarter and kind of just circle back and talk about, hey, of all of the things I read, these were the things that really are still standing out to me, things that I expect will probably make my top lists of the year, and just generally the best of the best, I feel like, for the last 3 months. So, without further ado, we'll just hop on in. So first I wanted to mention my winner of the 4-star books I read, and that is Forgotten in Death by J.D. Robb. You guys know, I love Nora Roberts. J.D. Robb is her pen name, and you may be seeing her again on this list. What can I say? I love Nora Roberts. She just works for me, and this 53rd entry into the In Death series was no different. This is a really good mystery, and actually, I feel like if you are curious to get a flavor of what In Death is like, I think that this actually would be an okay place to get a sense of that if you don't want to commit to starting all the way back at the beginning. If you just want to try the latest one, this actually I think could read okay as a standalone. The mystery in it was particularly good, I thought, and just overall, I really like this, and now I have to wait like 6 months until the next one, but I guess I will just have to sit tight until we get that. Okay, moving into 4.5-star territory, which for me, I would say is like an A book. That's like a best of the year kind of thing. And yeah, these are all ones that I think are very, very good books. I have Dress Codes, How the Laws of Fashion Made History by Richard Thompson Ford. And I've actually talked a lot about this book because it was featured in a commentary video I did a couple of weeks ago. And also I talked about it in my month wrap up for September. So I feel like I've talked a lot about this book recently, but basically the pitch for this is if you like a cultural or social history that merges with sort of like political or legal history, I think this is a great example of that. This is talking about how fashion and clothing have been legislated through laws over the last few thousand years, how we've shifted from having sort of a enforcement of class status via clothing into clothing as more personal expression, but he also gets into a lot of different dimensions of like gender and sexuality and race and class and how all of those things have been expressed through fashion and then had attempts to legislate that through the legal system. So anyway, I thought that this was super interesting. I tabbed the hell out of it, as you can see. And yeah, this was very, very interesting. I don't think that there's an audiobook of this, but maybe, I don't know. I chose to read it physically, so I love this. Next, let's talk about the other Nora Roberts book I had in my list, and that is The Villa by Nora Roberts. This was my biggest book I read for the Roberts Readathon that I hosted during the last couple of weeks of July. I would say this and Year One were the two biggest ones I read during that readathon, and I really love this book. This is not quite, it's like general fiction from Nora Roberts, because while it does have suspense elements to it, I don't think it really reads like a mystery or suspense all that much. It really reads like sort of an intergenerational family drama. And basically we have these two matriarch and patriarchs of these two vineyards who got married a long time ago. So they sort of joined their companies together. One of them is Italian, one of them I believe was Scottish. And the Italian side of the family originally had a vineyard back in Italy, but this is their like California vineyard. The two heads of the family are going to retire, but before they do, they want to make their two grandchildren kind of make sure that they're ready to take over the business. So to be clear, both of these two people had families and then got married later in life. So nobody we're about to talk about is biologically related when it comes to the romance. Just to make that clear, I do know that fake incest is sort of a trope people enjoy in romance. I guess this kind of qualifies. But anyway, so grandma, who's Italian, her granddaughter has been like in charge of all of the marketing and sort of like the more business side of the house. Whereas granddad's grandson, who's Scottish, his grandson has been more like running the actual vineyard and like the wine production side. So for a year, they're going to have to swap their main focus. And in the course of that, they've never really spent a lot of time together because they didn't grow up together, but they start spending more time together. Love ensues there. Granddaughter's mom, so matriarch's daughter had a terrible marriage, and she is getting into a relationship with somebody who's just joined the company. We've got like some murderousness happening and some like corporate sabotage happening. So there's just a lot of stuff going on. It's got the lovely Nora Roberts prose, and I just felt like this was a great example of one of her sort of like standalone stories that isn't really a romance, isn't really a suspense, is sort of just got a melange of a lot of elements. So I would just sort of call it an intergenerational family drama. Really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and I just love Nora Roberts so much. I've read like 90 plus of her books at this point, and I still have like 170 something left. So I'm glad that I have plenty of exciting reading ahead of me with her. And then the last 4.5 star I wanted to talk about is Do Nothing: How to Break Away from Overworking, Overdoing, and Underliving by Celeste Headley. I really enjoyed this book as a version of self-help that is not overly assuming that people have full control over all of the different factors that impact our lives, i.e. like what class you're born into, your race, etc. Like, I think there's a lot of acknowledgement of sort of broader societal forces that compel people to feel like they have to be productive all the time, at least here in the US. So I think she acknowledges all of that really nicely in the first 2/3 of this. And then the last third are some practical suggestions about how to slow down and have enriching idleness that is nourishing to you as a human overall. So I thought that this was a really great example of sort of both sociological nonfiction and kind of practical nonfiction. And then my favorite book of the quarter, certainly, unquestionably, was The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. This is my favorite romance of the year, and this just hit me right where I live. I absolutely loved this. I originally gave this 4.5 stars, but I've already reread it once. I read it at the beginning of July, and I've already reread it once, so I felt like that kind of spoke to the fact that no, this is really more of a 5-star read. I just really love the actual writing in this. It was very charming. Trope-wise, this just does it for me. It's got like fake dating and Grump Sunshine and characters in STEM and fighting the patriarchy. It just was great. I just love this so much. I know that there's been a big shortage of this physical book, so I know some people are struggling to get their hands on it, but if and when you do, I absolutely love it. I hope you enjoy it too. Also has some steaminess. Don't let the cartoon cover fool you. There's definitely some, steamy Pound Town scenes, so this is definitely my favorite new read of the quarter. I do want to mention, however, if I were going to pick my actual favorite reading experience, it's been the Nalini Singh books that I've been reading recently for my podcast I am doing on the Side Changeling series, Changeling Cast. There's just a great run of books from about book 9 to about book 14, and I just finished reading book 12 recently, which is one of my all-time favorite books. But anyway, I wanted to mention that I originally gave Play of Passion 4 stars, and I gave it 5 stars on my reread. This is book 9. I originally gave Kiss of Snow 4.5 stars on my first read, and on my reread, I gave it 5 stars, and I think it's probably the best book in the series in terms of quality and what it's doing from a plot perspective. I don't know. I'm still mulling on that, but I upgraded this to a 5-star. And then Heart of Obsidian is my favorite book in the entire series. One of my all-time favorite books, period. I will say upon rereading, I think if I'm trying to have my objective hat on, this is not the best book in the series, but it is still my favorite. I literally just spent the entire time I was rereading this smiling, just grinning from ear to ear. I am trash for this book. I love this book so much. Anyway, so I just wanted to mention, I know they're not new reads, but in terms of just things that were making me very happy in Q3, this little run that I'm on right now of rereading Side Changeling is making me very happy. So with that, those were the creme de la creme of Q3. Definitely let me know how your reading's gone for the last few months. If you have any big hits or favorites that have come out of your reading recently, or if you've read any of the books I was talking about, let me know that in the comments below. And yeah, I think that will do it for me. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, follow me on the social medias if you are so inclined. I have all that information listed in the description box below, and I think that will do it. I hope you're having an absolutely lovely day today, and I will just talk to you soon. Bye!